A lovely good morning. It is yet another Tuesday edition of the Camnet Breakfast Show where we focus on community. And later on, I'll be joined by my colleague Miriam Kaimba. I'm your usual host, Patrick Soko, and we have a fully packed program for you, our dear viewers. And remember to always keep warm because it is important this time of the season. But remember, we are also moving to that time of the season where Dusty is always behind us, and I don't know how to prepare for dust, but maybe we can hear from you. How can we prepare for that? But as we move from the cold season, we're going towards the August, which is dusty, and we'll be moving to September, October, where it is pretty sunny. And I hope that we'll manage to adjust through these seasons. And to just get started with our breakfast show this morning, we'll go straight to the health corner with Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. Stay tuned.
Good morning. I'm glad that you could join us today on the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. So this week we are talking about pneumonia, and we're specifically talking about community-acquired pneumonia. There are other types of pneumonia that we discussed yesterday, such as aspiration pneumonia or chemical pneumonitis that is caused from exposure to chemicals in the environment and other objects in the environment, such as dust and other chemicals as well. So today we'll discuss the people who are at risk of getting pneumonia. Basically, anyone can have pneumonia, so it has got no age specific. So anyone, whether young, whether old, middle-aged, we can all get pneumonia. And there are other people who are at more risk of getting it, such as people who are older than 65 years old. So if you have a mother, a father, a grandparent who is older than 65 years and above, then we need to make sure that they are well protected and that we help them to prevent them from getting pneumonia, because once they have it, it's more deadly in this age group. And also children, younger children, when they have pneumonia, it's more deadly and more dangerous in the children as well. So we need to protect the children and the old people from getting pneumonia, because the signs in these people or the cause of the disease in these people is more deadly. Then the other thing is that there are some people who are also at risk, at a greater risk of having pneumonia, such as people who have HIV. If you have HIV and you have this infection, then you are likely to get pneumonia, mostly if your viral load is very high or if you are very immunosuppressed. So people who have HIV should protect themselves and make sure that they prevent themselves from getting pneumonia. Then people who smoke as well are at risk of getting pneumonia, because smoking can reduce your immune system or can cause immunosuppression in your body. So people who smoke need to avoid smoking because it's dangerous for your body, it's not good for your health. So avoid smoking if you smoke. Then people who take alcohol as well are at an increased risk of getting pneumonia and other infections as well. So taking alcohol, smoking can increase your risk of having infections. So reduce on your alcohol intake and avoid smoking to reduce getting infections from the environment. So pneumonia can come about when you inhale any kind of bacteria or virus from somebody who is infected. And this is why during the cold season, when it's cold, most people are indoors and you're in close proximity with so many people. And so you end up getting this infection very easily because of the close contact that we have with people. And contrary to the myth that is there that when it's cold you easily get pneumonia, or when you're cold you can get sick of pneumonia, usually that comes about because you have been in close contact with somebody who has a bacteria or a virus that can cause pneumonia. So in the cold weather, people are very close to each other and they easily get these infections because of the close proximity. So you inhale the bacteria that has been expelled by somebody, and that's how come you can get the infection. So we need to protect ourselves, protect your loved ones, make sure that when you're coughing or when you're sneezing, you cover your mouth so that you don't release so many bacteria in the air for others to inhale, and others prevent others from getting sick as well. So tomorrow we'll discuss some of the signs and symptoms. Make sure you watch. If you have any questions, make sure that you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubyanamfire. And if you need to see or watch other videos that we have discussed here on the Health Corner, then you can watch them on my YouTube channel at Dr. Nakubyanamfire. I'll see you again next time. Stay blessed and stay healthy.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we were looking at our first segment, which is the Health Corner with Dr. Nakubyanamfire, and we were looking at that important topic. I hope you did manage to get one or two things from there, and we always advise that you can also recommend some of the topics that we want to be talked about on this segment. And moving on the program, we also look at how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. So now, $1 is buying at 19 kwacha 22 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 60 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 24 kwacha 66 ngwe and selling at 25 kwacha 14 ngwe. And the Euro is buying at 21 kwacha 31 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 73 ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 1 kwacha 08 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 10 ngwe. So those are your money market, and this is how the currency is performing as of this morning. But they do vary from one institution to the other depending on the financial institution where you are trading, which we are trading with, but usually the margins are not that much.
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning. What took you so long?
Well, I was trying to stay in a positive, calm.
So you were doing some.
I was doing some
exercises, some yoga to make sure that.
Yeah, I was meditating early in the morning to. But anyway, I am okay.
You're okay.
I'm fine.
You mean it's also a positive vibe for Tuesday?
Yeah, it is. You know what? It's supposed to be an everyday thing. Yeah.
I thought you had segmented it to only Monday.
No. It's an everyday thing. You need to be motivated every single day. This gives you an opportunity to look forward and achieve your goals. Exactly. I don't know if you feel motivated by art. I am right now, and I hope that our viewers out there, are motivated to wake up early in the morning and do what they love best and achieve their goals. Exactly. Quite important.
Interesting. Miriam has just confirmed that it is another positive Tuesday, and we have to keep positive, because we know that if we are positive, we can achieve anything, and we have to be optimistic, faithful, and hopeful, because that is key for us to start the day on a positive note and be able to achieve whatever we want to achieve. Negative thoughts can undermine your ability to do great things.
I love the faithful and hopeful. But anyway, just a reminder to our viewers that we have now officially opened our phone lines, and shortly we'll be joined by the Industrial Youth Organization Director, Mr. Nature Takakuya, who is going to help us, discuss youth participation in community development. Do take part in our conversation this morning, but right about now, let's get direct in zooming in some of the stories that we had yesterday. What are some of the stories that were making headlines?
So we have a story where Goodwill Ambassador for persons with cross-cutting disabilities, Elijah Ngwale, has bemoaned the lack of information among persons with disabilities on how to access the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. Mr. Ngwale notes that it is difficult for persons with hearing impairment to understand the CDF guidelines, as there is no sign language provided to interpret the content. He feels the persons with disabilities are excluded, hence the need to make the approach inclusive to ensure that no one remains behind in the implementation of CDF. So let's get to look at this story.
Persons with disabilities are eligible to benefit from various empowerments under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. Concerns have arisen from poor dissemination of information on the guidelines. Goodwill Ambassador for persons with disabilities, Elijah Ngwale, highlights the need for the government to interpret the contents of the CDF guidelines in order for persons with hearing impairments to understand the guidelines and have a chance to access the funds.
Accessibility by persons with abilities of CDF. Any project that you have must have this: accessibility, availability, affordability, and acceptability. One, is it accessible? Is CDF accessible by us persons with abilities? I could neatly but not nudely say no to Elijah. It's too difficult, if not impossible, for us to access it. Is it available? Well, if we can't access it, it's not available. The other one is dissemination of information vis-a-vis CDF to persons with abilities. Information is not disseminated. You have, for example, how do deaf people get information? Persons with disabilities are being excluded from CDF program to a very large extent.
On the other hand, Mr. Ngwale has encouraged persons with disabilities and have information on how to apply to do so and benefit from the empowerment.
You persons with disabilities must read and fight for your rights. That's the first thing. Now, appeal, I'm not going to appeal, because when I appeal, it means that I'm pleading with them. I'm not going to plead with them. I'm going to demand from the authorities, from the president up to the last authority, government, include us persons with the disabilities, of course, and the organizations of persons with the disabilities. Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities is mentioned here and there. You include disseminating from
Vincent Perry for Camnet News in Lusaka.
Well, there you have it. That was Goodwill Ambassador for Persons with Disabilities, Elijah Ngwale, expressing concern that the implementation of the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, has not been inclusive, in that it is segregative, considering that there are some of the documentations do not include persons with disabilities. Let's say the CDF guidelines are not have not been interpreted, or rather converted into Braille or other formats, so that persons with disabilities can be able to understand. Those who only know sign language, how do they get to know about those guidelines? How do they participate? So those are concerns that are genuine, coming from Goodwill Ambassador for Persons with Disabilities. Is not appealing, is making demands that the president should address.
I love the fact that he's making demands, because everyone should be included. If we're going to say that, we're not going to leave anyone behind achieving our 2030 agenda, then he is all right to make the demand.
Yes, so he's not pleading, but making demands in line with Sustainable Development Goals 2030 that seek not to leave anyone behind. And Zambia, being a member of the United Nations, Zambia has also affirmed to these goals, and it is important that in all sense of development, everyone must feel included. and persons with disabilities have the right to be included in the implementation of the Constituency Development Fund CDF.
Exactly. Moving forward in some of the stories that we had yesterday, some vendors who were displaced from the central business district are calling on government to quickly open Simon Mwewa Market, claiming that there's no space in City Market.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know, but trust me, Patrick, the issue of vending and addressing this issue, it can even take us up to 6 months to adequately address it.
Yeah, so it's, we are testing the leadership of the local authorities. Let's see how they will resolve this matter. And I had an interview with the Ministry of Local Government, and I think that's one of the stories we're working on for today, but it was actually affirming that there's no going back on that decision. So people should brace themselves.
Yeah, anyway, I just pray that the solution is quickly found and people are given trading places.
It is, it is important that people are given alternative trading spaces, because there are always an assurance from authorities.
Anyway, let's get direct into playing that story, and when we come back, we'll be joined by the Industrial Youth Organization Director, Mr. Nature Takakuya, who is going to help us discuss youth participation in community development vis-a-vis keeping the city clean following the removal of street vendors.
Government yana wanatipasa street ya Simon Mwewaleni. Wanakambatika sikurisirani ukusifra street vending.
Tempers were blazing after these women were displaced from this area in front of Simon Mwewa Market following their displacement from the streets. This report arrived on the scene shortly after a fracas, which was believed to have been caused by a scuffle for trading spaces around Simpson Building, and police officers were called in to defuse the tension. The said nearby fracas resulted in these women claiming to harbor here due to lack of spaces in markets to be displaced again.
Segulani market mavende sizavutika kwa mbo menyana kuti tizichana na nkondo. Mwazipisha msikiriti jambera tivutika chape mwana tifishira tikapanga la peace with never peace. Musiti market tikaenda mwana wake yapwera nikaenda panga pana na mapepa ya kukanzo limazula sisakirira nikoenda
government City Market tikangena vachipeleka chapa pastandi vapezeka pari mwine vovafata vamanager wa City Market vakungopeka chevantu vakamba vapasa vantu 800 ni mastandi ati ni bosa.
The aggrieved women are now calling on government to quickly open Simon Mwewa Market as life of loitering has become unbearable.
Na manja showing kuti unalipira ini certificate na manalipirako na manja ndio amezaka ningenesa mama na apply siku City Market kama na apply why nazipeza ku City Market na babada tusunga bana amasi atake mu City Market mwamene watipeleka muri bene bake bakatipeleka mwina wakanyamu ngati tiri pano tizaenda kuti babwele batsekulire malata kuti tantike tizatiza bwanje bana zona izmasatirite mubapelekere baiteje.
Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary Technical Services Nicholas Piri says Simon Mwewa Market will be opened as soon as works are completed. Mr. Piri says government will give a timeline once an assessment of ongoing construction works is done. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula in Lusaka.
Quite interesting views there. We could feel the anger that traders are calling, and just urging government to come quickly to their aid and ensure that these alternative trading places are open, so that they can operate in those designated trading places than them going back to the street. Like I said earlier on before we went playing that story, that we will be joined by Mr. Nature Takakuya, who is the Industrious Youth Organization Director, and we are discussing this morning youth participation in community development, as well as keeping the city clean following the removal of street vendors from the CBD. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you, madam.
We are glad to have you on set this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Soko.
Yeah, good morning. You've been okay?
Sure, I've been okay.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, yeah, for real, and happy to see you. And thank you very much for the platform.
Interesting.
Sure.
To just get started, first of all, we understand that you are among young people who have been advocating for cleanliness, or young people getting involved in keeping the city clean, even before the removal of street vendors.
Sure.
You've been doing that in places like Kanyama. We want to find out, first of all, following the removal of street vendors in the central business district of Lusaka, what would be your take on this? How do we maintain the sanity in the CBD?
Okay. Thank you very much once more. The removal of the street vendors from CBDs, it has come at a time when most people didn't expect it, knowing that currently the economy is kind of biting, but we should understand so healthy is so much important next to our healthy. So next, I would say, since we have seen now that the step has been taken, our wish and our cry is to see the government put in measures that would see the town continue being clean, such as maybe enhancing manpower where the council is concerned, those people clean town, and also coming up with policies that will support the move together with the bus drivers. I just say every transport moves on the road, let's say they should move bins in there as they move, so that to avoid passengers throwing outside the windows. Those can be some of the measures which the government can put, which can guide as we go through. And also coming up with bins along the CBDs. I understand we have got a lot of shops in town. It's our hope that, like yesterday I attended an event which Baimat was donating some bins yesterday, which was a very good call. An example which was given, we call upon other stakeholders, also other shop owners, to come on board, also contribute as they are giving back to the community, making sure that the city is clean. Going forward, I expect to see each and every person first to accept the change now. Since we are all happy that the town is clean, therefore we should accept the status quo which is now. To maintain it, we have to make sure that by all means we do what is right. Sure.
We were just playing a story as you were getting in, where we were looking at women who were saying they don't have trading spaces, and now they've been compelled to be loitering and saying that is not conducive. But you mean what can be done to safeguard that? But we should just ignore them.
We cannot ignore street vendors, knowing the fact that it has been there for a long time. But it's being there for a long time doesn't mean to say it is legal. It has been legal, but the virtue of the fact these people paid tax, then indirectly became shareholders or stakeholders, whatever they call them. But nonetheless, what is important is that we see to it that these people are remembered for. I would say it is, if you remember Mr. Soko, it is now the third time when we see vendors being told to move out. The third time they were moved now. The first one was in October 2021, December 2021, where we saw the minister, Gary Kombo himself, saying that we are going to clean the CBD and the targeting roads will be Cairo, Chachacha. Those were his words by then. The audio is there. And he said we are going to leave Freedom Way and we are going to leave Lumumba Road for trading. The audios are there. That was in December 2021. January this year, we saw another move where the government would ask the vendors to move out. Then we are told they should first do the consultation. That directive was given from the president, and that to hold on a bit. Mr. Soko, we are dealing with people who have got bills, people who are adults. So whenever we are dealing with such situation, we should learn to engage one another, regardless of who is leading whom. So what we expected after knowing the fact that the president has asked the ministry to do more consultation from where it ended, in a nutshell, we are told to hold on. So therefore, when they came back, at least a week later or before, they should have notified the vendors to say, we are going to remove you. It was going to be a very critical move, but the virtue that they have told them, they are going to have a conscience not to make orders for other goods. But the way it came, as you can see, many people had made orders even day before they were removed. So that was a loss. Now, like I said, we are dealing with people who have got families, who have got bills. If they had told them to say, January we told you we are coming, but we are given a day, we are to hold. This time we are coming for you. At least we are not going to see so much chaos like we are seeing in town today. The policemen are there to make sure that vendors are not in town for the next 1 month. How, as a leader, how does it feel? You are trying to implement something good, but the people are against, such that you have to use law for 1 month in making sure that someone doesn't eat. 1 month, the policemen will be in town. They have got crimes in the community. I understand the policemen should be there making sure there's sanity, but they're in town. That shows that there were no engagement. There were no consultation with the vendors themselves. There was no understanding between the government and the vendors. Because if they had engaged them, we're not going to see those policemen in town. I'll give the example of Benue Mpondo in Kitwe some years back. He had conducted the same exercise and engaged them. We didn't see so much policemen in town, no noise, no. Why? He engaged them and the move was successful. But we're not saying the city doesn't have vendors today. It has, because there was no policy which was guiding the move. So the way from then, if they had moved and the policy was supported to say, okay, they have moved out now and they're going to make sure that the streets remains clean. By now, we could have seen Kito being clean and no street vending there. So back to Lusaka now. It is in this situation where we are seeing policemen are everywhere trying to make peace in town because there were lack of communication.
But don't you think the fear is that immediately they are chased, they will be going back? In fact, they've been going back in the evening.
And just in addition, we did see the Ministry of Local Government, they are on record saying, they did engage the traders, the street vendors, and there was enough consultation before this move was done. But do you think it would have been prudent for the local authority to notify these street vendors, given the fact that whatever they were doing in the first place was illegal?
These people argue to say we paid tax, and the moment they paid tax, they became shareholders. The moment the government received that money, they became shareholders. From the word go, if it was illegal, they were not going to get this money from them. We are not saying remove them is a bad thing. It is a good thing, but it is done in a wrong way. It's more like you are in a house, then the child fails at school. Then as a father, you decide to beat the child. Then the child, the mother will be like, you the father, you beat the child because you feel that anger. I mean, the mother, the sense of saying, she doesn't mean to say what the child has done is correct. No. But there is a level of engaging one another. Back to real life. In this way, if there were going to be engagement between them, the Lusaka City Council or the ministry and the vendors, we are not going to see policemen today. Okay, they argue to say they told them. Why do we have so much policemen in town today? If they told them and they agreed.
Because they cannot agree. Naturally, they cannot agree.
Naturally, they
do you think they can agree to be removed from the street and not taken anywhere?
Thank you very much. Now
do you think they can agree?
They cannot. Thank you very much. Now from there, we go back to the drawing board. Why can they agree? It's because the government has failed to provide the penalty for them, where to go for them. So now, in my view, what these people are supposed to do is very simple. When we talk of the town, we're not targeting city market only. These people, they have got where they come from. Some of them come from Kanyama, some of them Chawama, Machero, and where they come from, they have got markets from there. Go back to the ground. How are the markets where they're coming from? Do a stock there. How many places are empty? Kweba Choka. And what are some of the reasons why they are not trading from there? Of course, you find that in town, it's a central business and people are there. But when you go back in reality, you find that Kumakombo and some of the markets are Karukungu markets. Some of the markets, when it's rainy season, in town is very clean than where they are coming from. So once they do that checkup from where they're coming from, the community, let's come to the city market. People argue to say city market has got empty tables today. You and I know that not long ago, city market was gutted. And before then, people were there. So meaning those stands have got the owners. And one will argue today to say, I'm not in city market because my goods were gutted and I'm still making capital. One will argue to say, I'm not in city market today because I don't have enough money to be paying and also making orders. There are all those excuses. So engaging one another is going to be important. What they're supposed to do is this. They do a stock of those people in the city market. And once they are there, today the government in power has increased CTF, has increased these loans, these bursaries. motivate them. Find a group of 10 youths, common interest. We are going to empower you with one shop, once it's open, here is your shop. We don't have rentals, the money to pay these rentals. We are going to empower you through grants or through loans. It's a strategy to use. Another 10 from those vendors. Before they remove them, we are going to give you this shop. What do you sell? Shoes. Okay, you 10, here is your shop. We have empowered you as a government. I don't have capital. Here is the empowerment through loans, through CDF. Those measures, you are going to find that if they identify 50 shops from there, and a group of 10, how many people will be catered at once? Many. So if those were taken at first, then those shops are open, they move those people according to strategic, they have said it, they take them into markets. Then those are going to be left, they're going to tell them, okay, fine, we have tried our alternative, we're not going to forget about you, we are still planning. For now, move out. Whilst we are going to look, there's other market there, as you are going to city market, Munyaule, we are going to upgrade Munyaule market. Once we upgrade Munyaule market, we are also going to find alternatives for you. But the government didn't engage them in those directions. There are people who listen. And what they think that they did not give them concrete reasons why they are removing them is the reason why today have got noise in town.
Earlier in your statement, you mentioned that, the street vendors felt they were entitled because they were paying revenue to the council. Do you think the council also contributed to this illegality to continue?
Exactly. They did contribute because the virtue that they got their money, there was an agreement there. So if they did not get their money, probably they're going to say, Bamatika and Ramazat, what you're doing is wrong. Now, we should understand to say, for a longer time, street vending has been used as a political marriage to most political parties, especially those who have been in power. So that's why the problem came in. And we shouldn't say, maybe these people are different. In 2014, when our president, now President HH, was in Kanyama, he said, that was 2014, yes, I remember very well, at Twashuka ground. He said, when I'm in power, I will not remove vendors. It's him who said those words in 2014 at Twashuka ground. Not long ago, in 2021, December, Honorable Garion Kombo said, Chachacha Road and Cairo will be cleaned. Freedom Way and Rumumba Road will be left. So meaning, from those statements, they could tell to say they don't have enough place to take these people because the statements aren't concrete. So now, what has caused all this drama is because now want to leave a legacy. Once I'm going to say, I removed the vendors, and once it's gone, that will be there whether they like it or not. But the engaging, the process of doing it, it was totally wrong. Even me, I couldn't support where people were cooking in town. Even if we go in town today, some walls will see it's black because of smoke. People are making chips there, making shima there, which was wrong. The moment they saw that, they were supposed to come in and say, we don't allow this, so that people can be aware of it. But the moment they kept quiet, they allowed it.
Interesting. Well, our dear viewers, wherever you are watching us, this is the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we are discussing issues pertaining to youth participation in community development, as well as how they are getting their perspective on how the removal of vendors is impacting on various citizens. And we want to get your views also wherever you are watching us from. And we are also live on our Facebook channel. And those of you watching us, leave us a message. Tell us where you are watching us from. In case you want to contribute to the program, do so, because we value your contribution and we thank you for watching the Camnet Breakfast Show. Now, going on with the program, we want to find out, first of all, how would you assess the participation of youths, especially youths that do not belong from political parties, in terms in the community development? Let's say, because when we talk about community development nowadays, we talk about the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. So how would you rate that?
It is slowly, on the rate of 10, I still give it 5, less than 5, 4. Based on the fact that it's still securing the political arena. When you talk of CDF and people benefiting from it, we should understand CDF, it is something for the community, and people are entitled to look after CDF they are what we call WDC. These people are there to make sure that they see to it that CDF money, it is used to its intended purposes. Now, the New Dawn government, it brought this, it's more like it has beautified the CDF process, where now it has pumped in a lot of money and giving power to the people to say, you have got power to decide on what you want at community level. But I think we are still behind in terms of thinking. The CDF, I would love it to see in sense that we should be able to identify major projects that we think it is best in our constituency. I'll give you an example of a constituency where we we farm pineapples. Constituency Development Fund, I think, should be used to come up with a factory that will be transformed from pineapple to juice. At a bigger picture, of course, the money might not be enough, but the process can start. And the more they are giving money, every time they distribute money for CDF, a certain amount goes to that project. A certain amount goes to the people. Now, that project, once it is completed, it's going to employ more people at once. So now, the CDF, the bigger picture of it is that many people think it is political aligned. And for real, it has been centered politically. Why? You find that all the people who are supposed to be in a committee of WDC, they are all aligned to the political party. You find, okay, but I'm charity, waku adishani, in your word, they'll put it as a charity. No, but chairman, youth, when it is not supposed to be like that. What I understand the CDF and WDC, it has to come up from people like NGOs, from the church, from the nurses, people who understand the challenges of the community, different views. Now, the fact that they have only centered as long as you are from a political party, and they'll get, by the way, to say, okay, someone will care money watch pan, but no what, and they bring them in. We will never see any development, and by the end of the day, we are going on to be seeing the people who are in the sake of politics benefiting from the CDF. It is the reason why today, out of many organizations which are applied for CDF, you find that the people who have received are those who are aligned to the political party.
How best do you think we should put up certain measures that will hold those who are in charge of handling the CDF accountable, given the fact that a lot of people, among them yourselves, have complained that only those who are aligned to a certain political party are the ones who are benefiting from this Constituency Development Fund, and not forgetting that the government is on record saying that, you know what, a lot of young people should tap from this Constituency Development Fund to form cooperatives in order to sustain their lives.
I should make mention to say, it is not only this government which is aligning the CDF to its members, no. It has been happening even years back. I came to know about the CDF and the WDC way back when I saw, oh, this is what for the community. But what has distanced people from it, it is that we have very much holistically believed to say it is only those people who are into politics who can benefit. Now, to your question, how we can move out from this culture? Number one, ask our people first, number one, ourselves. We should take in interest in knowing and the fact of what is happening on the ground. What benefits do we get from the government? What benefits do we get from our area councillors? What is the purpose of them being there? It is not just being there, we go make noise for them once they are selected, we forget. No. The reason why we make noise and we want this one to be there, it is because they will make policies that will be easy for anyone to access this CDF. What do? Let these people at community level identify what kind of people they have in the community. How do you do that? I'm sure before you become a leader, you interact with one or two people in the community and you know what kind of people you have in your community. By the virtue of doing that, you can have some small events depending to the group age that you are targeting. And by virtue of doing that, is what you just want to get their interest back on the ground. Now we find that many other times our leaders, once they are selected, the ground is forgotten and the excuse they give every time you visit their offices, oh, bali ku civic center, oh, bali ku office kuli ba MP, oh, bali ku civic center. When you go to my MP's offices, they'll tell you, oh, bali ku parliament. Ah, they don't ask bali ku parliament. Okay, that these people every day go to parliament. Do these people every day go to civic center? No, they don't go there every day. I've got days which they go to. But the other days are left, they are for the community. So those days which they are absent in the community, they lack, those are the days they miss out in finding out what exactly is needed on the ground. They should interact with people who are facing real problems. I was reading Mr. Lesoniso's article where he said, holding the mic doesn't mean you should stop listening to what people are saying. In the narrative, what he was saying, when you're in leadership, you should also hear what people are saying. You shouldn't always be talking and just, when you talk, they should hear you without hearing their view. So, as much as you are a leader and you feel your connection has changed only if you are found with your fellow MPs or fellow councillors, that's when you can learn how to develop your community. You are wrong. The people who can help you best are not to develop your community. They are the people who understand the problems, who are those on the ground. So what I can say is our leaders should go on the ground so they can make sure that they find out what problems or what solutions can be applied in the community level to keep the kind of problems we are facing currently.
Interesting. Well, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show. In case you want to join the conversation, you can do so and by calling the number on your screen. You can also leave us a message on our Facebook and YouTube channels. We are streaming live the Breakfast Show. And remember to tell us where you are watching us from so that we can get to know where you are calling us from and we get to read out your messages. And those of you watching us right now on our Facebook page, we thank you for staying tuned and following the program. But you can also give your opinion or your perspective on our topic of discussion this morning. Now, moving on with the program, I want to also find out, let's say we had other young people in the same seat where you are. We are talking about issues pertaining to development. And I want to find out, first of all, how would you assess this aspect where we have a lot of government institutions providing empowerment? Don't you think that is also room for confusion? Let's say, for example, youths have been told to benefit from the CDF, but youths have also have the Ministry of Youth that is also mandated to provide empowerment to young people. Okay, before I lose that, I ask you that, let's pick this call. You are through to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, your name and where you are calling us from, sir?
My name is Joseph.
Okay.
I'm calling from Dola.
Mr. Joseph, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Sure. Good morning, panel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. My contribution is like this. I think these months years have been holding consecutive government the ransom for a long time. You know, telling me what in the industry is illegal. And in fact, if it is an illegality, they are not supposed to be sitting for one before they move up. Because it's just supposed to be forced out of the street. Because it's allowed to be an illegality. How do you keep an illegality with its growth? Most markets here, they all these government financing. Yes, they don't even vote at all. I don't think every Muslim has a chance to go vote. We wouldn't have a chance. Because most of them don't even have voters cards. Let me in journalists can tell us the government in markets like Victoria market or city market in Osaka. You find that most of them are getting not even have time to go to get this voter cards. But yet they are the first to say that we are voted for this government. Even those cards, most of them do not even have voter cards. They don't have the power to vote. So why should the politicians be scared of this party? I think it's high time. We had the political will to move it marketeers out of the street. Political will be there, not politicians here. Marketeers, this is what is important. I think Galen Cromwell is doing a very good job. I'd like to give him the part from his part. The job well done in the past. Rubbish is going to be expensive to most of the many people have. Because in the most cases, if you look at our local towns, we don't have this. So, I think the major factor. Each way, Zola looks at it. Sorry.
Oh, but he was to explain. But I think we get his message,
we got his message
loud and clear. He's saying that what the government did is commendable. And that you cannot address illegality with kid gloves. And that you are afraid of losing votes. He was saying it was about time the government just does the right thing and avoid being twisted in terms of because of losing votes.
Exactly, like what he said, why should politicians be scared of street vendors? Because at the end of the day, they tell them, you know what, we're not going to vote for you come this year when we're having our general elections. And I think that has been a fear for a long time. That's why we haven't seen successful government, taking up this action, or rather this measure.
Exactly. Like I said, many politicians, they have taken this to be political marriage move, where to say, me when I'm in power, I will not remove you, and people would clap. Because the fact is this, many people today, statistics according to 21, after they are verified, 51.4 of our youths today, which is from 15 years to 35, they are unemployed, they are not in school, and they don't have any skill. This led to the people on the market. Now, what was the government supposed to do after seeing this? You people, I don't see why people sometimes want to make things very difficult. This is very simple. Even Jesus in Mark, he gave an example of the Sabbath to David when he said, "Do not be a slave of the Sabbath." But a Sabbath was not meant for man, but man for Sabbath. Which meant is this, in this scenario we're talking about, this being critical here. What was the measure of them coming in town? It's because the number here, we've got so many people who are unemployed, without a skill, and they're not in school. Therefore, the livelihood to be difficult, and what they chose is going into town. And the role of the government is to create a livelihood for someone. Now, here we have to engage. We are not disputing to say remove them was wrong, but engaging. Quite right, someone who argued to say it was illegal. But where did they get the money if it was illegal from the start?
So now, because these two people were engaging in illegalities, the council and these marketeers, should the rest of us or the rest of the nation be tossed into that illegality?
No. The thing is this now. This marketeer or this vendor, they never sold Vikamba Bama banana. They sold bananas. And the person who bought, they had to throw those. And by the end of the day, because they sold near in town, so we saw debt in the town. So number one, the people asked ourselves, before the vendors, asked ourselves, we have to be blamed, because we gave them that we went to buy from them, and they saw it fit to say, well, that's why there's a livelihood for us.
But the government said, let's stop it now.
Let's stop it now. You see, I gave you an example. Then the father beats him. Does it mean the father hates the son? No. If the mother says, does it mean say the mother hates the son or the father? No. But engagement there. These people from December 2021.
But you remember that they were warned, even when at the time they were removing vendors. You remember the booths? You remember that they were removed?
Yes.
You remember that Mr. Nkombo had also undertaken an operation which was also halted by the president.
Yes.
Wasn't that enough signal that let me do the right thing?
The signal which was halted by the president, and the president
to give them room to replan and to say, okay, let me stop, because the president wanted that process.
In addition, Don't you think the traders had this kind of laissez-faire mind and saying no? Because
we'll tell them
don't you think they created this upon themselves because they were given enough time and warning to move out and to go back? Because the Ministry of Local Government said there are over 4,000 empty trading spaces in these markets. And these other street vendors moved out from the market to just go and be on the street. Don't you think they caused that upon themselves?
Okay, maybe let me say this again. You people, it's very simple here. The vendors were told to move in January, and the president said, hold on and do further consultation. In the nutshell, we are told, hold on until further notice. So now, from that further notice, we expected January.
Yeah, but you know what authorities told us? They came to us and we covered press conferences where they told us to say they did engage these stakeholders.
If they engaged these stakeholders,
there was enough consultation.
They engaged these orders, according to the minister, he said we did 90% of our verification, of consultation. But if they did this consultation, you people, why do we have, if you go in town today, we are not told. Wanatuza kuti membekeze mu January nesendise bantu senbanabwera sendetinamvera. Those who are there on the records there, if you play, they are there on TV. So now, if truly from January, this is now July, if they were told, are you telling me to say they are not going to prepare? They are going to prepare. This is what they are going to do is simple. A week before, they are going to come up to say the issue we stopped, it is now back.
Mr. Takakwea, now this is water under the bridge. The vendors are out.
Yeah, exactly.
What should be the way forward as you conclude?
And just to add on, we did see the relaunch of Keep Zambia Clean campaign. Do you think we'll be now able to maintain our CBD and ensure that it is clean at all time, given the fact that we don't have the street vendors at the end of the day? Because the argument rather was we cannot keep the city clean because there are street vendors.
In fact, besides that, Miriam, what you are saying, you cannot keep something that is dirty clean.
Yes.
So the campaign should be make Zambia clean.
Okay. To your question, I followed Mr. Nkombo according to his statement to say the cleanup is going to be done. The water started in Lusaka, it is going to Kabwe, like all the cities will be done. So literally, you're going to see no vending like the whole Zambia. That's the picture we're having now, which should be recommendable because it has been done. Now that it has been done, now what we need is everyone to come together now. We can't be pointing something which is already gone. It is gone. We should forge ahead now. What is the solution to sustain it? To the council and to the ministry, let them come fast as quickly as possible on the ground in making sure that they have got enough bins to see those garbages being thrown there. And let the council also do their work on time. Ask people, number one, before the vendors themselves who are affected directly, we should support them by following them to the markets. Just change the mindset first, faster, so that we can at least give them back the life which they had before. We know it's going to be difficult, yes, but we pray that ourselves first change fast so that we can make the vendors feel comfortable. The government themselves, they did up this mess because they chased these vendors when they know they don't have enough markets. Some markets that are not completed. Our cry is that they should fasten the process of opening those markets so that people can find where to trade from. And those people on TV said clearly to say those markets are already full. Now, my advice, I would say, if it's possible now, the process, if they can find somewhere where they can squeeze these people, if it's possible to redone the process, they should do that way, so that they can at least identify a group of 10, they give them a shop. A group of 10, they give them a shop. That is my suggestion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntakakwea, for finding time to be with us in the on the breakfast show to discuss various issues pertaining to street vending as well as youth empowerment issues. And right about now, we are going to go straight into this story where bus drivers operating at the Kulima Tower bus stations have revealed that business has boomed following the removal of those who were contravening in the central business district of Lusaka. The drivers told Camnet News that passengers have now been forced to board buses from designated places. They say police must continue to maintain law and order in the streets and ensure that no bus driver operates from the streets in order to stamp out contravening permanently. Let's look at this story.
Drivers operating at Osaka's Limatawa bus station have dispelled assertions that police officers manning the streets are harassing them. The drivers have instead told this reporter that since the police officers were stationed in the Central Business District, CBD, their business is booming as all customers are coming into the station. Mr. Nicholas Banda is the chairperson for the drivers in Limatawa bus station.
One, pamene town ya Kiliniwa, Shangana business. So mostly, business ya Limatawa never ended down. But this time, Limatawa tina business. That's number one. Number two, chifoka baba pali wa police yamene bali mulodi.
Other drivers have also echoed similar sentiments, further calling on their colleagues operating from undesignated places to come into the station.
Otherwise, ninankala mulodi for a long time. And my benefit mulodi is na pesa. So pamene matipita kwa police ya amba challenge kwati kosenzera kuna program. And tunaenda pa station branch yeah pata mandevu so pata mandevu wanaita wokamu chairman songapo.
Okay, munga banzatu wanapishwa muloti mugangana Kulimatawa, mugangana City Market, mugangana Lumumba, then na Flash, especially Flash na Millennium Flash it empty. Tingaende ma station kuna Kulimatawa osawalinga isenza ma drivers wonse buli hapa imwe umusenza motor guys bwerani
so nangwanza tu ajotenzi na bebe muloti kwa muloti nasebenzera bajanza tu ali muloti baleke china kuvutika kusakira abantu muloti bazambo gwirwa na mapolisi kwa police beba konkala mu so bajantu abwele che mu station cyambe kusebenzera pamozi muona ma places yaliko bali post pe waenda muno Limatawa peruti kuli leadership and then put kuli na leadership yonse ya Limatawa yonse ya ba father ba Nicholas Band.
Meanwhile, Limatawa bus drivers General Secretary Crispin Zapasi has distanced the group from a driver who accused police officers of harassment.
There are some other drivers and other people who are complaining when the police they told them to say where you have parked is a wrong place, one park somewhere else. You find that there is a quarrel, like a certain driver who complained yesterday. Yeah, he was told to say where you have parked is a wrong place, one park at another place. So, because he doesn't want to follow the rules and laws which he has been given by the police. This is the reason why he's going on the media saying laws, sort of things. But we are happy with the police. And
for Camnet News, Afias Kaptula in Lusaka.
Well, welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we were looking at some of the stories that are making the headlines. An interesting story there at the Kulimatawa bus stations where drivers are suggesting that business is now going accordingly following the removal of those who were contravening. And we saw that the entire stretch of Cairo, all the roads in the CBD were characterized by contravening by motorists. And that has been addressed following the intervention by the Ministry of Local Government and the Ministry of Home Affairs, who are keeping vigil following the removal of street vendors and those that were contravening the traffic rules and regulations. Miriam.
We now move forward to our next interview, where we are joined by the Zambian Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation President, Mr. John Chinseki, who is going to help us, discuss responsible utilization of social media. But before we go that, we did see yesterday he did comment, or rather advise the Bank of Zambia to invest in cybersecurity. Let's get to play that story as we get our guest prepared.
The least one could ever imagined of just happened. The Facebook page belonging to Zambia's central bank being hacked. A check by Camnet TV News on the said page revealed that the profile picture and the cover photo were all changed. This received mixed reactions from many Facebook users. Meanwhile, Bank of Zambia Assistant Director Communications Besnat Mwanza confirmed the incident in a statement, saying the bank is making every effort to ensure that the platform is restored to full functionality. Reacting to this development, Zambia Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation President John Chisenki challenged the central bank to invest in cybersecurity for its social media platforms.
Bank of Zambia has already had another incident of hacking, I think sometime last year in February, where there was a ransomware was unleashed at their servers, and I think that's in the public domain, of course. And now we have this. So what's happening in the Bank of Zambia, I think, should be the question: who is careless in the system? Do these staff at the bank go through cybersecurity trainings to acquaint themselves with best practices to, because if we have to protect our digital assets, we need to equip the people that use the assets before talking about security. Because human resource is the first in the line of defense, and if we don't educate the human resource on best practices, we risk like what has just happened at Bank of Zambia. So then what are we trying to say? They are supposed to be chief security measures implemented at the human resource level by the cybersecurity experts at the bank.
This is not the first time, as the central bank last year experienced a technical outage resulting from a cyber attack. Vincent Piri for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Quite interesting, like I mentioned earlier, that in studio we're joined by Mr. John Chiseki, the Zambian Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation President, who is helping us, discuss our topic this morning, where we're looking at responsible utilization of social media. Good morning and welcome to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show.
Good morning, and thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on set and talk to the 19 plus million Zambians and many others watching us across the continent.
To begin with, what is the Zambian Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation all about for our viewers who are hearing this foundation for the first time?
Yeah, the foundation has grown. I think we have grown greatly. I think we have become big and forced to reckon with in the country lately. We are a cybersecurity awareness training, auditing organization. We do audit any institution you can tell us to audit. We are certified ethical hackers, meaning we can hack into anything that is hackable. And for us to do our auditing, we definitely have to test. We call it penetration testing if your system can stand any hacking attempts by hackers. So for us to ascertain this system of ours is strong enough to withstand any hack, we try and hack it ourselves and show you, okay, fine, this system of ours is vulnerable at this and these points, then you can be assisted to patch. We also do cybersecurity trainings. We also do online child safety in schools. We talk to parents and teachers and those are the pupils, so that we want to take it down. It's a bottoms up, so that the children, when they are growing, they are getting to know about cybersecurity and dangers online. Dangers on online spaces, because a lot is happening online, and I think we've seen what's been happening lately. That's this Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. They have been fighting for numbers. We've seen Mark, I think, recently launched a new system, the platform called Threads, and Elon Musk just, I think, yesterday, the Twitter icon is going to change. It will no longer be Twitter, just be called X from yesterday, and things are just changing. So with all this growth in social media, strengths and numbers, there are also a lot of predators, and as we are out there to also at least alert the people, show them the dangers that are out there, despite this internet too being a very important tool in the hands of someone who knows what he wants to do with it. I think we can also take ourselves back to a time when Facebook was off. I think for a few hours sometime. I think last year also, if my memory. You saw how vulnerable we looked. You appeared, all of us in the country had nothing to do. That simply showed how addictive internet and social media have been, and how enslaved we have become, to social media and the internet, I think, as it were. So,
interesting.
Yeah, so that's basically, we are there to provide insights on best practices on the internet for Zambians and those across the borders of the country.
Now, I will bring you straight to the story we played pertaining to the Bank of Zambia.
Sure.
The Bank of Zambia is not just a mere institution. It is a key institution for this country. And being hacked like that, what does that mean? And as experts, what would you advise in order for us to avoid such scenarios? As you talk about the Bank of Zambia, I also want to bring to your attention that we also, some last week, we had incidents pertaining to the National Pension Scheme Authority, NAPSA, also facing similar challenges pertaining to hacking, according to what we were privy to. And now, these are critical institutions of this country.
Yes.
Now, if now they are vulnerable, especially in the cyberspace, what does that mean?
Yeah, it means a lot. I think in the interview that you just played here, I think there are things that I spoke about. And the biggest problem that we have in this country in our universities is that we have theories and not practicals. That is very important. I'm running a cyber institution, so I get a lot of people seeking for employment from my organization. They send their CVs. Degree holder in cyber security from this university and like, interview them. 1, 2 interviews, bring them to the office for a simple practical test. They can't do anything, but somebody has been in school for 4 years. The kind of experts we have at institutions like the Bank of Zambia, they have master's degrees. For directors, they have master's degrees. I think the lowest thing you should have as in a grade for you to be at Bank of Zambia is a bachelor's degree. And now for those who are in managerial positions, they have masters. I think for me, what I can tell you is I don't despise education. It's very important. But one thing is that in Zambia we have administrators, administrative people who don't know what cybersecurity really is, but they can define terms and talk about it on TV like I'm doing right now. But when it comes to practical work, it's called offensive cybersecurity, where you have to, you can like hack, program, get a program, hack into it, do reverse engineering and do a lot of things to check if it's vulnerable. We don't have such kind of experts. There are very few in this country, and I think that's why we're having this kind of incidents. Bank of Zambia, it's a central bank. I think we say that. Let's say it's the central bank of the country, which definitely, keeps custody of the accounts of all the ministries of this country, the government ministry of this country, the key big institutions of this country. It gives us all the projections, the economics, the monetary, everything housed there. Bank of Zambia last year in May, I think on the 22nd or so, I think was hacked. They were sent a ransomware. Their data was compromised by the hack. Again, Bank of Zambia again today is in the news for Facebook. Facebook hacking is simple if there are a lot of admins. So do these guys do cybersecurity training for their staff? Do they have strategies for onboarding staff onto their organization when they're employing them? I don't think they have. If they have, do they implement them? Do they train staff to say, okay, fine, if you receive a link that you don't know where it's coming from, bring it to IT to check if it's genuine or not? Do they have DDoS? Checkers, something that should check if this link is infected or not, because there are systems out there. Simply invest in that. There's a company called Before. They'll give you a phishing, simulator that gives you the stuff to learn that clicking on links is going to be dangerous. There are also systems out there that are programmed and developed to avoid such kind of incidents from happening. Have they invested in that? No, they haven't. That's why they have been hacked. Which weakest link was found amongst the administrators of the page that was used to get into the page and remove and take charge? Because definitely what has happened is that if there are 10 admins, the hacker removed every admin and remained alone on the page, because if they still remain there, they would have been also removed by the other admins. So there's a lot of security breaches in the system. I think the Bank of Zambia and other big institutions, NAPSA is housing critical information for the people. Millions, billions of kwacha have been paid. I think from the time the president signed into law the partial withdrawal. So that is so NAPSA right now is like a beautiful young lady out there who is a darling to every man who would want to pass her course and propose love to her. They have all the monies that that this country I think deserves. Needs NAPS has been funding projects in this country. They've been dishing out money to people that are withdrawing money from for their savings. Means NAPS still has billions of money. A data breach means someone out there, a hacker, has a database of potential clients, people who are going to withdraw money and definitely potentially lose funds to the hacker. What does it mean? If the hacker gets the information, it's very possible to create what we call cloned cards at the bank side, which definitely when you use the information on the other side from NAPSA, you can link the two and the money will be going into the account of the hacker. That's how dangerous this is. Institutions like these should really invest in employing experts. People are practical. People can stand the storms of hacking. This world we're living in today, sophisticated hackers are learning every day. What happens when, as for us, we report at 9 in the morning, for instance, knock off at 15 hours, banks do that, 3 p.m. While the hacker wakes up at 1 and goes to bed at midnight, sleeps his phone for 1 hour. They spend so much of their time trying to learn new things, tactics. When you're good at something, it's because you practice every day. We go to school and get our degrees and go home and wait for a job. The job comes, I'm employed, I have people managing things. We outsource everything. Even things like antivirus that you can just simply install yourself and manage. You go and hire a company to install antivirus for you. Do you understand? I think there was an AU issue where China installed something on the AU servers, which was discovered they were actually listening to conversations happening at AU. Such kind of things. How many of such things do we have happening without us knowing in this country, in government institutions? Who is going to bring out that information? We don't know. If we can get BOZ hacked, then the expertise is not good enough to even find out how many such surveillance systems on our country as a government we have that people are listening to out there.
For clarity's sake, most of the time, a lot of people would say when institutions like the Bank of Zambia are hacked, most of them would say, maybe it's an inside thing. Just for clarity's sake, for our viewers there.
It's possible. It's either way. It's an inside thing, or it's an external thing. If an inside thing, I think there are a lot of inside jobs that I think we have read about in growing up, which is also possible. Now, if it's an inside thing, why would someone want to embarrass his employer by putting very explicit photos that are not so appealing for an institution of that kind of Bank of Zambia standing to the rest of the world? Because I got a lot of phone calls yesterday from outside the continent. I sit on a panel for the African Cybersecurity Alliance as a vice president, and I get a lot of interactions with foreigners around the continent. And I got a lot of phone calls. You've been hacked that side, vice president. What is happening? So that's very embarrassing because of our institution. Our central bank is now getting to a point where they are compromised. Then we need to also, ask questions like, where is ZICTA? Is ZICTA really doing the regulatory part of their work properly? Are they also assisting in the recruitment of key, of key personnel in these key institutions like ZICTA, so like Zambia Police, NAPSA, and even the army itself and other institutions that are pertinent to the image of this country? If they are not involved, can they be involved? ZICTA themselves, are they able to also stand such kind of storms?
In your view, do you think ZICTA is involved?
I think ZICTA is I can't say they are so much involved because they were involved. I think they should have come. They should have been responsible to issue a statement as a stakeholder, because the ZICTA should be there. ZICTA is a cybersecurity wing of the government in other ways. So they should also monitor all government institutions in terms of security. They should, I think, have provided some kind of security, that is standard for the entire government, institutions, so that at least if they are safe, everyone should be safe. We don't want to get to this point. If ZICTA was doing that, they should have already, I think, done a training at the Bank of Zambia, standard training where they do at NAPSA, Bank of Zambia, and other key government institutions to make sure that the face of the country is not imbalanced like it is right now.
Before you jump in, Patrick, the Ministry of Technology and Science have called for a stakeholder consultation of the draft amendment of the Cybersecurity and Cybercrimes Act number 2 of 2021. How do you think this is important?
It's very important, and I think unfortunately I am part of that right now. I think we are meeting since yesterday and today. It's a good initiative by the ministry to engage the masses, the people, the stakeholders, to also come and give their voice and query where they think it's not going fine, and at least border on human rights, human rights protection and all those. I think it's a good thing. The ministry, I think, should be commended for the job they are doing. Lately, the ministry has been doing wonderful work. I can attest to that. I think I've been there several times. They have recruited very key, it's competent directors who are doing wonderful work. If you are to come to Mulungush where it's taking place, trust me, you'll be amused at how things are going and running. I think it's very important for a country to have a cyber security, cyber crimes act that speaks to the aspirations, of the people of Zambia, and not the one that was hurriedly enacted by the past regime. That was questionable, because then it was going to raise questions to say, who are they targeting to use that against? You understand? So the way this one is going, if the government takes their time, goes through everything, and gives us an act that is going to speak to what we are currently, submitting to the current act, it is going to be, I think, a good act for the country to use.
I have a challenge for you and other IT experts. First of all, is Zambia going to be just a consumption nation for technology, especially when it comes to communication applications? I'm talking about this, for example. We are talking about, for instance, Facebook.
Sure.
And they want to also regulate whatever we say within our guidelines, our communities. There are some terms Facebook is not comfortable with, that they would say whenever you do that, they start banning you. And we see that, for example, other countries like China have developed their own stuff and everything, but us, we continue to consume these things with the positivity and the negativity all together. We continue to consume that. But how can we also make sure that our cyber laws are also responsive to make sure that we also have a say in whatever these people are imposing on us?
Yeah, there is a saying that goes like, whoever feeds you controls you. Yeah, so definitely Facebook is controlling us because we are all dependent on Facebook. I think you've already mentioned China, they have their own. It's not only Zambia where we have such a problem. I think it's the entire continent in Africa.
Exactly.
I'm yet to see such a Facebook-like application in South Africa. It's not there. I'm yet to see it in Uganda, the ICT giant countries, East Africa. There's nothing like that happening. They are doing other things, but communications platform, we think also maybe they have those who have built it, maybe not to the standard of Facebook, but also the marketing and the political will to promote such kind of innovation is not there. If the government could say, okay, fine guys, can we now try and promote our own local products, our own developers, can we have a hackathon, organize them, put all the experts together, but a department just for building applications, get all the key boys around the around the country and put them there, build applications, serious ones, and government invest the energy and effort to make sure that whatever is built from there is marketed and not, but I think we can get there. For now,
this brings me to my other question. Have we seen the government, maybe through the Ministry of Technology, to see much investment in this such technology?
No, there's been no much investment in such technologies. I think also, having been in ICT myself for 15 years, I can tell you that I've gone to a government institution, me as a Zambian myself, and I don't get attention that I needed to get. But if I went with an Indian person, say, my guy, let's go and try and market this product. The attention he got was different from what I got me as a Zambian, because I think for the longest time we have so much trusted foreign built application systems rather than the ones built by ourselves. So if that has to change, the government must be the ones to start looking at us first before looking at foreign-based, foreign developed systems. So the investment also is not much because of that kind of a context that they look at things for.
Interesting. For example, when we talk about Agenda 2063 of the African Union, we are talking about a cross range of important things. For example, moving towards a single currency, moving towards the one passport. But up to now, our African Union is still dependent on external funding. For instance, our African Union doesn't have, for example, a pan-African application to keep us in check. But you, as advocates of ICT development and innovation, what do we need to do to ensure that everything we do also has a blueprint of Africa?
I think the first thing is first, we should cut out all the borders in the entire continent, because I don't need to have a visa for me to fly, for instance, to Nigeria. Currently, I need a visa to go to Nigeria. We should remove all the borders, just fly freely. The way I fly from here to Kenya, I don't need. Just my passport is enough. Just to stamp I've arrived, just to keep track of my movements, which is, I think, not a problem. So when we clear the borders, then now we're going to be driving towards achieving that agenda. Otherwise, I think the way things are currently, countries want to just be, have things, their own laws and everything around. I think that's why we've seen other countries that are still even struggling, like Sudan and others that have their own practices. That some countries don't respect human rights. They don't do that. So now, how do you bring a country like Zambia, where human rights are expected, to measure and inculcate our culture in a country like Sudan and Somalia, where human rights are not respected?
Interesting. I want to bring you to attention where this social media has brought us. People like yourselves, probably, as we even have an opportunity to interact with you. We may even have a free learning course from yourself on how to handle social media or to be there. But you see, our children are now exposed to social media because as parents, most of them, they'll say, I want to give my child a smartphone, they should know how to read, they should be able to be exposed to educational things. But no, these things continue popping up. Even the hackers themselves, they pop up links where when you go there, you become vulnerable. And our children are now prone to various vices such as sextortion, where we've seen it has been something big, but even us as the media, we hardly cover such issues. But children there are vulnerable out there. Yes. Collectively, how can we as a country see to it that we protect children, especially online?
Okay, as a foundation, we are running a program online child safety. And sextortion, we have actually a book on our website. We wrote about it, I think, in 2021, because we have such cases that have been coming to us. For those who don't know what it is, sextortion is a means of extorting money, using blackmail arising from sexual, engagement with the blackmailer. So that's extortion. So we have a book about it. We have such cases that we have dealt with, I think, about 3 so far in the past. And the best way that we should protect the children, consuming such kind of content online and from online predators, we need to enforce first culture of responsibility in a home. Because if I can be able to buy my daughter a smartphone, I can afford right now. But if I can afford, I think then I say I'm going to buy a smartphone and leave her to use it like that without worrying about where she clicks and where she goes. I'm endangering my daughter. She's a small girl and she's going to be growing up saying things she shouldn't be saying. Moreover, Facebook has age limits to who should be on Facebook. It's supposed to be 18. But today you find that even a kid who is 12 is on Facebook. Why? Because they have cheated their age. And they're using photos of celebrities and the like. And you can tell by the way they are relating and communicating that there is some kind of childishness in this one, the baby and the like. So how do we then protect the children? Simple things. I have a grade 8 daughter. I buy her. That's more simple phone. So that's quite boarding. I grab the phone from her and leave it home.
Yes.
There is no phone at school. Simply better from the children. When you're home, that's more phone for buttons. Press me hard, we call it. So that they don't get exposed to the internet. There's no internet on that phone. It's simply me calling them, how are you? Is it fine? And they like them to call me and they like, it's simply communication. If it comes to research where they have, so their parents, they come and ask us questions. They did this question, homework, we assist them to do their homework. And then when the time is ripe and right for them, that's why I tell people, don't post your children online if you have children. Let them come and decide on their own to post themselves when they are of age. And like, because when you're putting your children online all the time, you risk the children being kidnapped. It's not common here, but at least I think recently saw what happened to Pamela Chisupa and the like. Now you can imagine they are small girls, they are kidnapped from school. I think we've also heard, I heard some time back where a kid was almost kidnapped because a kidnapper went and said, I'm your uncle, and your dad told me to pick you because today is busy at lunch, he's not coming to get you. Fortunately, the father was arriving to get, and that's when everything actually, went bad for the kidnapper.
But we are in a digital world, huh? And the world is slowly transforming in this digital space. But the argument will be, if we compare a child, maybe in Zambia, from that in Japan or China, you find that they are more advanced when it comes to technology. Don't you think we'll somehow, if you say completely off shutting down the children from the internet, will completely, move away from seeing their talent in terms of, being digital?
Yeah, that's a very critical, I think, school of thought. And I want to say, today when you buy a smartphone, there's what is called there's an interface that's for the children. Okay, there's what is called child mode.
Yes,
you can switch your phone to only content that a child should be able to consume.
Exactly.
If you get a smartphone, if you think of settings, my phone has that one. You go and browse and set to that. Definitely, any adult content that should be for adults will not pop up on the child's interface for the phone. Likewise, there's also Facebook for like Messenger for kids. There's also YouTube content for kids. So if we need to give a kid a smartphone or a smart gadget, a laptop, a computer, let's restrict those devices to only pop content that is child appropriate and not content that is going to corrupt the child as they are growing, because just leave it for them. A child will start watching pornography at a tender age. What's going to happen next? Pornography is addictive and it becomes traumatizing as the child grows, and others even get into depression and just become problems as they are growing. So as parents, I think mostly parents of rich parents are the ones that have problems in terms of managing their children. Poor parents have no problems. Parents from humble backgrounds have no issues. I think their children, they become responsible. But rich parents, they are busy. They give you smartphones and money and laptops and leave you. And they don't care about what you're doing as long as my child is okay. And they're like, I've gone to do a cyber talk for a certain school in Lusaka, and I found a grade 4 girl with a Samsung S6 in class at school. It's not only one, and there are many others that had phones. So meaning even the teachers were there seeing the kids with phones, meaning the teachers also have allowed the children to come with smartphones at school. So that culture, it's happening actually in this country. If the Ministry of Education also can come in and also that is try and regulate these kind of cultures in schools, so that even if it's a private school, it's under the Ministry of Education, do not bring this kind of foreign practices that are not Zambian, that are alien to this country in Zambia. Then at least we are going to, despite parents wanting to spend, at least there also be a culture that is Zambianized that's going to be inculcated in the
As you have this 2 days stakeholders consultation of the draft amendment of the Cybersecurity and Cybercrime Act number 2 of 2021, what are some of the recommendations that we're seeing coming from stakeholders like you?
Yeah, I think from stakeholders like us, the space that we work in is more on protecting human rights and the internet spaces being safe for everyone. So we're also looking at in terms of laws that border on protecting us online. Who do we report in terms of incidents? And a dictator should be there. They should have a serious team that should respond to incidents as and when they happen, such kind of submissions. And also it matters to do with spot checks and so those are matters that they're still being discussed in detail, so I can't preempt everything.
So last,
those matters are still being discussed.
As you conclude, I want you to speak to these subjects. How can we also tackle the issue of cyberbullying? Because now people, because they cannot, I cannot face you directly, I'll go on the keyboard and start scandalizing you. But how can we strengthen laws regarding that? Because at the end of the day, us as the traditional media, we have been relegated to clarification agencies where people sit down, make up stories, cook up false information and everything, they post on their page. Then that same person start to clarify, no, that is not true, and that's we are clarifying things that are not even right in the first place. But how can we start addressing such issues?
Yeah, very important. Cyber bullying or online gender-based violence, we can also call it that way. is a serious cancer in this country. I see it every minute I go on Facebook. People keep insulting each other on it's an hourly basis. So there is already an act that is still running right now that has clauses such as section chapter 66 of the Cyber Crimes Act number 2 of 2021, which talks about hate speech. Yeah, so if someone insults you and you feel this is hate speech, you can simply pick them and go to and report them. And definitely we have seen politicians that have with each other. They've been summoned at the police, and they have been slapped with the charges and all that. The problem we have ourselves is that we don't understand that the laws are meant for us to benefit. They're not meant for the lawmakers. The lawmakers make the laws for us so that we enjoy them and use them for our own safety. So I want to encourage Zambians, read the Cyber Crimes Act. Go to the ZICTA portal website, download it, get it, understand, read things that you think you can use. There are safeguards that are out there in the act that you can simply use for your advantage, to your advantage, and take those offenders to book. Because Facebook today has become a dangerous place. They keep insulting each other. There are a lot of new celebrities popping up with insults. Some boy will just pop up. There's a new boy I see, I don't know if it's Why Me or something. I don't follow such myself, but they pop up everywhere, so you can't avoid them. So all those that are mushrooming with insults, I think I would have gone to pick him myself and lock him up and slap a case where there will be the people against him, because then is now trying, is now adding more to the danger that are out there on Facebook. Our children are getting, boys like that same Why Me character, and others that have vulgar language on Facebook, insulting each other on a daily basis. There's that guy called Mr. Zimba. There are a lot of such.
That other lady, I don't know if she should be from the diaspora. Who keeps on insulting the president.
Exactly. There is that, I think I forgot, Kasono something. There's a lot of such that are coming who are not sensitive to Facebook also having children and morals at the same time. So I think the government should rise. If there should be maybe an agency that just looks at cyberbullying alone, at the Ministry of Tech and Science, that just says, fine, in cyberbullying that we find online, we're coming for you. Even if it's not reported, as long as you have done it, we're coming for you. Then the ministry now should be the complainant, and that one should now be the defendant. That's the only way we're going to sort out this matter. For as long as we say, let whoever feels offended, go and report it, it is not going to work. So as this act is being revised, we at the foundation, we want to take up such kind of tasks and run with them and make sure that we teach the people, sensitize the people on these clauses that are there to benefit them. If you feel offended online, why don't you rise up? Why don't you get it? Why don't you court and go to court? You can go to police. Definitely, if you report to the police must also take everyone serious. Even if you come looking dusty, with the flip-flops, looking dusty and there are fours everywhere, what you're reporting is important than your looks. Shouldn't be me coming driving me for danger. I think I'm being scandalized on the net by this person. Look them up, then think this guy's case is serious. Bullying for a minister, bullying for a person who's living in Mrs. compound is still going to be cyberbullying. So Zambians should be made to realize that these laws, they are designed meant for us. At least this current one, I'm happy that we are discussing and saying this one, we don't want to see it in the final one. This one, yes, because at least then we're going to say, fine, we had to speak to this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chisaki, for coming through. We are winding up with time, but anyway, it's always a pleasure to have you on set, and we will ensure that, we bring you next time so that we can have a lengthy discussion where people will be able, to appreciate the need to know more about cybersecurity.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Indeed. Anyway, this is where we come to the end of our program this morning. We were looking at responsible utilization of social media, and in studio we are joined by the Zambian Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation, Mr. John Chisek, who is the president of the foundation. For now, from myself, Miriam Kaimba, and Patrick Soko, it's bye-bye, and please do make time to join us tomorrow as we bring you into current affairs.